Greetings, yogis and yoginis. Elizabeth Scally here from Living Sublimely Well. Welcome back to the Living Sublimely Well Yoga Studio here in Baltimore County, Maryland. And no students today, but hopefully my students are joining me from all sorts of locations. In fact, if you're watching this video, I'd love to know where you're joining me from. Go ahead and leave a comment below if you can. So we're going to do a short practice today, mainly lying down. We're going to start lying on our backs. We're going to do some stretches on our bellies, actually. And then at the end, we're going to use two blocks. So go ahead and find if you have a yoga block handy or something. If you don't have a yoga block at your location, that's okay. You can use a board game box, maybe a stack of magazines or books, a Tupperware box, maybe if it's sturdy enough. I don't want to break anything in your space, but go ahead and find some supplies. And while you're gathering those, just quickly the medical disclaimer: I am not your healthcare professional. I cannot see you through the screen. If you have any limitations or restrictions placed upon you by any healthcare providers, please listen to those. And even above those, listen to yourself. Honor your body. Listen to your body's needs. Every time we practice yoga, it's a new beginning, a new opportunity to explore and be present with the physical body. So just don't push anything to the realm of sharp-shooting, intense pain. A little tension is okay. A little tension in yoga is the tension we feel when we stretch, but not fiery, sharp-shooting pains, okay? So honor your body. Hopefully by now you've found some blocks. We won't use these till the end of class, so just setting those aside. And as I mentioned, we're actually going to start lying on our backs, even for our breathing exercise here. One more little disclaimer before we get to the breathing exercise. This breathing exercise can be a little tricky, can be a little challenging, so don't beat yourself up. Try not to get frustrated. Even as a yoga practitioner with over a decade of yoga experience, I still find this breath to be challenging for myself at times. So since every opportunity we come to the mat is a brand new chance to explore the body and the breath, let's not judge ourselves. Let's not criticize ourselves. Let's just do the best we can here in this moment, okay? And of course, if you continue to practice this exercise over time, it may become easier for you and more accessible. All right, so finding yourself lying flat on your back to the mat. Now, one more thing here. If flying back on your back hurts your low back at all, if your low back feels tense or tight when you lie down on the back, you could take a blanket or what's known in yoga as a bolster, or maybe even you just roll up a couple sweatshirts or something, okay? And place something, that feels lovely, just below the knees so that the pressure is taken off of the low back. Let the toes flop towards the corners of the mat. Make sure the shoulders are sliding down the back. And for this breathing exercise, which is called the three-part breath, also known as the wave breath, we'll take one hand to the middle of the belly, so rest one hand above the navel, and the second hand to that area just in the middle of the chest, what's known as heart center. You could rest your eyes completely if you feel safe and comfortable to do so. Otherwise, just take a soft gaze towards the ceiling. And before we move into the three-part breath, just go ahead and come present to your natural breathing, the natural breath in and out of the nose, Perhaps noticing how fast or slow the breath is. Just paying attention to the body being breathed. And we have arrived. Okay, beautiful. So for the 3-part breath, it's like it sounds. There's 3 parts in the body. We're going to breathe in and out of the nose through this breathing technique, if you're able to today. And when we inhale, we're going to inhale to the belly, pushing the belly up and out. Inhale to the belly, then fill the ribs, and then the chest. And then with the exhale, we're actually going to reverse it. Exhale from the chest. Lower the ribs and drop the belly. Inhaling deeply to the belly, expanding the ribs, lifting the chest. Exhaling, the chest falls, the ribs contract, the belly releases. Inhale to belly, ribs, chest. Exhale through the chest, the ribs, the belly. Inhale to the belly, ribs, chest. Exhaling from chest, ribs, belly. It's almost like a wave, if you can sort of feel that in the physical body. Inhaling to the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. Inhaling, belly, ribs, chest, and exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. See if you can practice for a few rounds on your own. So go ahead and leave that 3-part breath to the side, returning to your natural breathing at your own pace. And just before, as before, noticing the pace, the depth of the breath, if any shifts have occurred since we've started. Lovely job. So let's go ahead and bend both knees, bringing both feet to the mat, pressing that low back into the mat beneath us. And then let's lift both feet off the floor, hugging the thighs towards the belly and the chest. The hands and arms can come around the shins or the thighs, whatever feels pleasant for the hands to rest upon. And then let's go ahead and take a gentle rock with the knees and the thighs from side to side, just massaging the low back. Very slowly rolling side to side, perhaps massaging the sits bones by dropping the knees a little further down, and perhaps exploring even massaging the middle and upper back by hugging the knees more tightly towards the chest. Just a gentle rock side to side. Then let's bring that to stillness, bringing our knees and thighs to the center. And then we're going to lift the feet towards the ceiling so the feet are parallel to the ceiling, generously bending the knees almost into a 90-degree angle with the knees, and then taking the knees wider than the hips, wider than the shoulders. So the feet are dancing on the ceiling, the knees are generously bent, and then the hands can come to the insides of the thighs, the insides of the calves or shins, maybe the insides of the ankles, or perhaps all the way up to the insides of the feet, coming into what's known as happy baby pose. So the knees are wider than the shoulders, wider than the hips. The feet are dancing on the ceiling, and our hands are to the instep of either the feet, the ankles, or the legs. And perhaps just a very gentle rock, very small rock on that upper back. Feeling the playfulness, the innocence of a child here in happy baby. Beautiful. Let's start slowly releasing the hands from the legs, letting the feet float back down to the mat. So we're bending still through the knees. The feet are to the floor, lying here on our backs. And then there's two ways you can do this. You can either roll on to one side, pressing your hands into the floor and coming up to sitting. Or if we just kind of rolled side to side, massaging the spine in that direction. If you prefer to massage the spine now vertically with me, you could take the hands to sort of the backs of your thighs and using your core strength, sucking belly button to spine, tightening through the abdominals, start rolling from shoulders to tail the length of your back. Again, if this is not accessible to you, you can just roll onto one side, press your hands into the mat, and lift yourself up to seated. If you're rolling and rocking, as I am, vertically, then eventually, let's go ahead and sit all the way up. Excellent job. All right, let's sit with our legs long. Feet flexed out in front of us, so the toes are pulling towards the ceiling. The heels are pressing towards the wall in front of you. Let's lift our arms to the sky. With the exhale, hinge at the hips, flat back, tilting forward. Inhale, lift through the hands, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, hinging with that flat back. And final time, inhale, lift, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, round through the back, letting the hands rest on the thighs, the calves, the ankles, or perhaps even the feet. The nose is coming towards the knees. You're gazing at the floor. The knees can be bent as much or as little as you like. Breathing deeply here in this forward fold. Beautiful job. So very slowly starting to walk the hands up the legs, rounding up through the spine, coming back up to seated. Great job, everybody. Let's go ahead and swing our legs behind us. Now we're going to come to lying down on our bellies. Do two poses here. So let's lie on the length of your mat on the belly. Let the toes flop inwards, the heels flop a little bit out to the corners of the mat, so you're somewhat pigeon-toed. The arms are overhead with the palms facing the floor, and we can come to the right side of our head, resting on our right cheek. Excellent, everyone. So what we're going to do is called sphinx pose. The first thing we're going to do is lift the head, look down at your mat, hover your face just about a few inches away from your mat. Then very gently start to pull the crown of the head out, away from your body, as if you were a turtle, lengthening the head out from your shell. So pulling the crown of the head out, and then lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling, sliding onto your forearms. The arms are about shoulder width distance apart. The fingers are spread wide, pressing the palms into the mat. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, lifting the collarbone forwards and up. A slight arch through the low back, pressing the belly and the hips into the floor. And breathing deeply here in Sphinx pose. Wonderful job. Then slowly start letting those elbows slide out to the sides, coming onto the left side of your head, the left cheek, and just resting here for a moment. In fact, let's bend the knees, bringing the feet towards the ceiling, and take a gentle rock with the knees side to side. With the feet side to side, windshield wipering those low legs, releasing any tension or pressure out of that low back. Bringing the feet to stillness, back up towards the ceiling, and then extend both feet long, back to the mat, toes pointed inwards, heels flopping out. And just as before, let's lift the face, gazing down at the mat, hovering the nose a few inches from the floor. Then pull the crown of the head out, away from the shoulders, and then up towards the ceiling as we slide onto the forearms. Arms are shoulder width distance apart. The closer you bring the elbows to the body, the more intense that arch is going to be through the low back. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, pressing the palms, pressing the belly and the hips into the floor, breathing deeply through this posture, sending the breath to where you feel the stretch. And just as gradually as we entered, let's slowly exit, sliding the elbows out to the side, coming down to the right side of your head, the right cheek. And again, bending the knees, bringing the feet towards the ceiling, and letting the feet flop from side to side, releasing any pressure or tension out of that low back. Beautiful job. Bringing the feet to stillness and letting the feet rest long on the mat. So the next pose, we're going to start off with just lifting one hand and one foot, or even I should say one arm and one leg, as well as the head. Always lifting the head. So we'll lift the opposite arm as the opposite leg lifts, and then we'll switch. This is a variation of what's called locust pose. So let's go ahead and bring our forehead to the mat. So we're resting our forehead to the floor. Let's press the belly into the mat, tightening through the core, and go ahead and lift the left leg a few inches off the floor, the head and the right arm a few inches off the floor. Keeping the abdominal muscles tight here, breathing deeply, and then release, coming to the left side of your head, the left cheek, lowering the arm and leg down, resting for a moment, taking a breath. And then let's bring the forehead to the mat, tighten through those core muscles, bringing belly button to the spine, lifting the left arm a few inches off the floor, the head, and the right leg. Breathing deeply here, pressing that right palm into the mat. And relax, lowering down to the right side of your head, the right cheek, lowering the arm and the leg. So you can do it just like that again, raising the right hand and the left leg this time. Or if you want to challenge yourself, you can raise everything all at once. So I'll cue the right arm, left leg, but I'm going to challenge myself and try to lift everything all at once, all right? So let's bring the forehead to the mat. We're gazing to the floor. And when you're ready, tightening through the core muscles, lifting the left leg, the right arm, or if you wanted to, all of the arms and legs, as well as the head, pressing that belly into the mat, breathing deeply. And let's lower down onto the left side of your head, the left cheek, lowering arms and legs. Resting here for a moment. Then let's bring the forehead to the floor. And second side, we'll lift the right leg, the left arm, and the head. Or if you're challenging yourself, all limbs as well as head. Breathing here, deeply breathing into the belly. And release everything down to the right side of the face, the right cheek. Great job, everyone. Let's bend both knees, bringing the feet towards the ceiling, and let those feet flop side to side, windshield wipering the legs. Wonderful job bringing that to stillness. And now we're going to find our blocks, as well as my glasses. So let's find our yoga blocks or whatever you may have found handy. Roll over onto our backs. So laying the length of the mat on our backs now. Feet extended long. I'm just noticing the back of the head, the shoulders, the tail, the lengths of the legs and the heels. So for this first pose, which is called supported bridge posture, we're only going to need one block, okay? So go ahead and bend both knees, bringing both soles of the feet to the mat. The feet and legs are about hip width distance apart. And then start walking the feet as close as you can towards the body. So the heels come as close as they're able to come towards your tail. Okay? Finding your block. And then what we're going to do, press the feet into the mat, lift the tail off the floor, and then slide that block, whether it be on the lowest side, its middle side, or its high side, just to the tailbone. So you're not sliding it to your hips or low back. You're sliding it to that bony prominence that's known as the sits bones or the tailbone and resting that tail onto the block. Keeping those knees lifted towards the ceiling. The hands can be on the hips or at your sides. There's a slight arch through the low back, and depending on which block height, the highest block size will actually make the arch through the low back increase. And you can either rest the eyes or just take a soft gaze to the ceiling. This pose is a static posture, so we're not moving anywhere. But just keep breathing into the stretch, sending the inhale to the base of the spine. Exhaling to the crown of the head. Slow and even breaths in and out of the nose. Lovely job, everyone. Let's go ahead and press the feet into the mat, lifting the tail, taking our hand to the block and sliding that block out from underneath us, and very slowly pressing the middle back and then the low back all the way to the tail into the mat. Let's lift the feet off the floor, hugging our arms around the legs and just taking a gentle rock very gradually, side to side, massaging the back. Bringing this to stillness, bringing the feet and the legs back to center, lowering the feet to the mat, and now finding both of your blocks. Hopefully, two blocks are handy for you now. And we're going to do supported supine butterfly, a fancy way of saying laying on our backs with the blocks helping us in butterfly pose. So we're going to keep our knees bent. The knees are actually going to fall out to either side, which will bring the soles of the feet together. So the bottoms of the feet are touching each other. The legs are coming into a diamond shape, or the shape of a rectangle. And then you're going to slide those blocks just to the outsides of the thighs, the knees, and again with the block height. If your knees can't open very wide because your hips are quite tight and your knees are higher up towards the ceiling, perhaps use a higher side of the block. But let the thighs, let the knees rest on the blocks on either side. And once you've found that real juicy spot that feels cozy, go ahead and lift the tail, pressing that low back into the mat. The hands can rest on the belly, on the hips, or away from the body, wherever the hands feel the most comfortable. Inhaling into the stretch. And exhaling, letting the knees rest open just a bit deeper. So let the blocks be your support. Notice if you're clenching. Notice if you're tightening. Notice if the hips or the groin or the inner legs are tense. With your intention, with your breath, release any of that tightness. Release any gripping or clenching. Let the blocks just hold you. Let the blocks cradle your legs. Let the body rest. Breathing deeply. Inhaling to the base of the spine. Exhaling to the crown of the head. Just letting the breath flow up and down the length of the back. Nice and even, deep breaths. Beautiful job. Let's take the hands to the outsides of the thighs and press those knees back up towards each other, towards the ceiling. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Let's lengthen the legs long. And the last thing we'll do before we take a final relaxation is we're going to do some core strengthening work here, some core exercises. So all we're going to do is take the left leg and lift it a few inches off the mat, hugging that belly button to the spine, and then release the left leg down to the mat. Keeping the core muscles tight, keeping the abdominals engaged, lifting the right foot and right leg just about 6 inches off the mat, letting that hover for a moment, and then lowering down. Switching sides, lifting the left leg just about a few inches off the mat, keeping the belly tight, the core muscles tight, and then lower down. And then the right leg, the right foot lifts off the mat, hovering above the floor, keeping the core muscles tight and lowering down. So now you can stay just like that with alternating legs, or for more of a challenge, you may try lifting both legs. So if you're going to lift just the left leg, go ahead and lift that, or if not, both legs, hovering above the floor and then lowering down. And then similarly, you can either lift just the right leg or both for a challenge. And lower down. One more time on each side if you're doing sides. So left leg raises or both. And lowering down. And then the last time, if you're doing just the right leg, lift that or both. And lowering down. Beautiful job, everybody. Let's bend the knees, bring the feet to the floor one last time, hugging those knees to the chest and taking that gentle rock to relieve any final pressure or tension out of the back, massaging the spine, just rolling gradually side to side with the legs. Then go ahead and bring this to stillness, bringing the feet back down to the floor and start to prepare for final relaxation. Letting the legs lengthen long, letting the legs be somewhat apart from each other with the pinky toes flopping to the corners of the mat. Lifting at the waist to just gently tuck the tail, lifting at the shoulders to slide them down the back. The arms can be away from the body with the palms facing the ceiling, or alternatively resting the hands on the belly or the waist. Closing the eyes if you feel comfortable to, or just taking a soft gaze to the ceiling. Relaxing the feet, releasing the heels, letting tension melt out of the backs of the legs. Relaxing the low back, the middle and upper back. Let the arms hang heavy, the shoulders release. Separating the jaw and letting the tongue fall to the floor of the mouth. Releasing the forehead. No tension in the physical body. Letting the mind and the body enjoy just a few moments of peaceful stillness. So gently starting to wiggle the toes, allowing small movements to come to the fingers, gradually allowing these movements to grow to the wrists, to the ankles, up the arms and legs, gently awakening the physical body, reconnecting with the body in this time and space. And when you're ready, bending through the knees, bringing the feet to the mat, and rolling onto the right side, cradling the head in the right arm. Resting here for just a moment on the right. Pressing the hands into the mat, slowly lifting the torso, gently coming to any seat of your choosing. Taking a moment here to rest the hands to the sides, and with the inhale, lifting the arms out and up, exhaling the palms together at heart center. The light in me honors the light in each and all of you joining me. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. It has been a blessing to facilitate this yoga practice for you all. I really appreciate you joining me. Namaste. Okay, everyone. So until next time, we'll see you soon. If you're interested in learning more about our yoga classes here at our yoga studio, go ahead and check out the link that I've placed in the comments section. We have active yoga classes running throughout the year, weekdays and evenings, and sometimes weekends, just depending on the season. If you're not in this space of Whitehall or Baltimore County, Maryland, as where I'm located, where the studio is at Living Sublimely Well, there's also ways to work virtually through Zoom and otherwise. So if you'd like to explore working with me as a private client, maybe you've had an accident or an injury and are kind of gently rehabbing the physical body back to its full and healthy state, I'd be honored to partner with you on that healing journey. So again, go ahead and take a look at that link. Any comments, any questions, please leave those here on the video so I can respond to you. And there's plenty more yoga videos, meditations, breath works, qigong, lots of videos on this channel. So go ahead and check them out. And if you like what you see and have enjoyed the practice, feel free to share with those that you love. All right, everybody, till next time, take good care.